Welcome to this video where I've gotten my hands on some filthy, thrifted secondhand treasure that we are going to bring back to life. Also, hands up who remembers the 80s brass coal bucket. Oh yes, I've managed to find one that's very worse for wear and I'm going to see if I can bring it back to life. Let's begin with the small stuff. So the ornamental trinkets that most people would probably just throw in the bin. But actually, there's just a thick layer of dirt on them. And one of them just needs a lick of glue and it'll be brand new. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I didn't mean that to rhyme. Bit of glue and it's like new. I feel like that could be an ad campaign for a glue company. Feel free to use it, my friends. So here is what they look like before they get into the sink and have a bath with some warm soapy water. So there's no real damage to these pieces. They're just full of dust. I'm going to use an old toothbrush that I use for cleaning. And I'm just going to use some dish soap and give them a good scrub and see what's underneath the layer of grime. But yes, I have to admit, they are very filthy. When you go to like a car boot sale or even in some of the bigger salvage yards, you might come across pieces like this where they might not look like much, but there is something pretty underneath all of that grime. What's really satisfying for me is after scrubbing. Hands up who loves a satisfying before and after of something that has been filthy or has some damage and then it's all clean. But for me, giving it a rinse with the tap and then seeing the dirt that comes off as well is very satisfying. I was saying in an older video where I went thrifting and secondhand shopping around Dublin that I love earthenware. And I think it's just nostalgia. They're giving me 90s vibes. I love the cream colour on the bottom and then it fades into like a brown on top. And these can be really expensive. If you saw that other video, you would have seen that I managed to pick one up for a couple of euro in the second-hand shop. So this one, while it's probably a souvenir and it has the map of Ireland on the front, there's no stamp on any of these. So I don't think they have like a high second-hand value. But I love this little pot and the fact that it has the little map on the front. I definitely think it was a souvenir. So here's another piece that I think has some dead cactus in the inside. They have composted themselves. So I'm going to remove them. This is broken but easily fixed with some glue. I definitely think this may have been a souvenir because it's giving French or Italian, maybe Spanish. It's definitely giving Mediterranean vibes. The reason why I wanted to salvage this is because it reminds me of a trinket that I picked up when I was in France. I got this beautiful handmade like little house with a little purple chair that sits on the inside and it was just a lovely memory. So I wanted to give this a good clean. This was a little bit harder to get the grime out of the stones because there was more texture in the ceramic. Once I gave it a good clean, I just used some Gorilla Glue that I already had in my stash and it just slotted in nicely and I allowed it to dry. Here's how the smaller pieces are looking before we head on and tackle that brass bucket and see if we can do anything with it. Before I get into trying to fix up the brass coal bucket, let's have a look and see how much they're selling for online. Now, two variations in prices. So on the likes of Etsy, there was the first one when I popped into Google brass coal box. You can see they're fetching for crazy money. So 300, 200, ones that are looking a bit shabby are still like 190. Now, when I went on to Adverts, which is like an Irish secondhand site, and I think they're linked with Dundee as well, but they were only 50 quid, some of them 30 quid. So there's a little thing if someone is into maybe flipping them, get it for 30 quid on Adverts and sell it for 300 on Etsy. Now, I don't know if they are selling for that price on Etsy, but that seems to be kind of an average price for them. I feel like every Irish household had a brass coal bucket in the 80s and the 90s. I remember them as a kid. I think you could also get a fire guard and like a magazine or newspaper rack as well. So I reckon if you had a full set in good condition, you probably could get a couple of hundred for it. Out to the garden we go because I was a bit worried with this box. On the inside and on some of the outside parts at the bottom, you may notice some mold. At first I didn't know if this was soot because there is soot in the box, but I popped on a respirator and my gloves, brought it outside, and I started to bleach the whole thing just to kill off any mold that's on the surface. And I checked the wood. The wood, there was only one part at the bottom which was rotten that I removed. The inside was not rotten. There was just mold on the surface. It's also a nice warm sunny afternoon as I'm doing this, so I want to dry out the wood. There was no damp in the box, so I think maybe where it was, it may have been stored in a damp area and that caused it, but it wasn't actually wet as I was doing it. So I scrubbed everything with bleach first. But as I was doing this, I was like, oh, is this even worth salvaging? But I persevered and I kept going. And I wasn't able to get it as clean as the ones that are on Etsy. I did have a Google for some DIY brass cleaners, and I actually got a Google search result for Mr. Carton. Sort Your Life Out on BBC. A little clip came up and he had like a DIY brass cleaner. So I just cleaned the whole surface. I went over it twice and then I went over it with some metal cleaner, but it wasn't the brass cleaner. So I think I should give this another pass. But I was happy with the level I got it up to, if that makes sense. And the inside, I managed to get it free from the mold, and then I was just letting it dry out in the sunshine. If you are thrifting or getting secondhand furniture pieces, especially in Ireland, seeing mold on furniture is quite common. And sometimes it can mean that the piece is damp or there could be woodworm in it. But because Ireland is such a damp country, especially like in winter and summer, so you might even notice at the moment, because of all the rain we've been having, you can even like see it on your plants. You might start to get like powdery mildew. A lot of people will store secondhand things in their sheds, and yeah, that can cause them to have a bit of mold. So I'll generally inspect something. If the wood is rotten, I will just leave it, because sometimes you can replace pieces of wood and stuff and it's not too bad. But if it's something that I can clean and it hasn't kind of gone too into it, yeah, I'll give it a go. But yeah, it's up to you to assess the kind of damage. Obviously, mold is really dangerous. So if you are going to treat it, make sure it's like outside, and yeah, dry the piece out really good as well. I've also seen special mold cleaners in the hardware shop down by the paint section. So there's mold cleaners and of mold blockers. Obviously, the cause, if you are treating mold, the cause would have to be removed. So I'm confident that the mold isn't going to come back on this once it's fully dried out. So nice sunny day, make sure it's bone dry before bringing it anywhere. Or you could store it somewhere just to see, obviously in a nice well ventilated area, etc, etc. Let me know, have you treated something that was moldy but had potential? I'd love to know. A lot of people kind of dismiss them and throw them away. If you're looking for some secondhand shopping videos, I have a couple from springtime if you missed them. That good old YouTube algorithm doesn't be showing my videos to everyone. Also, on that topic, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment, because YouTube just buries my videos sometimes. So it helps the channel and my videos reach a bigger audience. So if you are visiting Dublin, I did go to a couple of thrifted places. So I have a video where I went to Max Salvage, and then I walked up towards Thomas Street. There's a couple of hidden gems around there and an antique shop as well. Back in spring, I also went out to the NCBI warehouse in Ballyfermot, where I got the table. My regular viewers will know I got this stunning writing desk for my bedroom, and it turns out it's actually worth a few bob. So I have a couple of videos on that, sharing how I cleaned it up and where I found it. I also visited one out in Navan. I think that was a St. Vincent's warehouse as well, a furniture shop. I'm always on the hunt for a secondhand shop, especially around Dublin, because I feel like there's not as many, but we are getting better. I also love watching Mr. Carrington's car boot sale videos. So if you know of any good car boot sales in the Leinster area, I don't mind having a little drive. So any good car boot sales, let me know, because I do love having a rummage. I have noticed more and more antique shops popping up as well around Dublin. Some of them are quite expensive and then some of them not so bad. And then when it comes to secondhand sites, I feel like adverts and Done Deal are quite popular. I know in America and Canada, Facebook Marketplace seems to be the place to go. Now, Facebook Marketplace, you can find some gems here, but I find adverts is great. Anyway, enough of the chatter. If there's any salvage yards, car boot sales, anything like that you want me to check out in Ireland, leave their details in the comment section. Don't share a link in the comment section. For some reason it blocks links. I think it's to do with like spam and scam. But you can just leave the name or address and I can Google it myself of any like car boot sales or things like that. I will leave links to the videos that I'm on about. So if you want to check out those kind of thrift flips and furniture makeovers and thrifting videos, I will pop them in the description so you can check them out. Also, if this is your first time back to the channel, I've had a couple of comments saying I lost your channel and you popped up again for me. So welcome back. Make sure you're subscribed and also engage with the video. If you don't engage, even though you're subscribed, they won't recommend my video to you. So if you do want to see my face, hit the thumbs up. If you don't want to see my face, hit the thumbs down. Also, upload schedule is still the same, Thursday, and then the odd Sunday video as well thrown in the mix. So I will see you in the next one.